She once carried her dreams in a torn plastic bag, walking miles with second-hand books pressed against her heart. Today, those same dreams are bound in hardcover, sitting on the shelves of the world's biggest bookstores. This is not just the story of a writer, it's the story of resilience, hope, and the power of words to rewrite a destiny. She was always the last one to leave the little government school at the edge of town. Her classmates carried fancy backpacks, the kind with cartoon characters and zippers that didn't get stuck. But she carried her books in a crinkled plastic bag that she had folded and taped again and again, as if repairing it meant repairing her chances at education. Every day, she walked home under the hot sun with the plastic bag pressed against her chest, fearing the books might slip out through the tears. Her name was Amara, a girl who learned early that poverty is not just about empty pockets, but about invisible walls that the world builds around you. Her father worked at a factory, hands roughened by steel, and her mother washed dishes in neighbors' homes. The family lived in a one-room rented house where dreams didn't find much space to breathe. Still, Amara's love for books was unshakable. She would sit under a flickering bulb late at night, squinting at borrowed novels that smelled of dust and ink. Sometimes she read aloud to her younger brother, turning the pages slowly as though the stories themselves were fragile treasures. But the world wasn't always kind to her hunger for knowledge. On her way home, children mocked her for carrying a plastic bag. "Look at her. Not even a real bag," they laughed, pointing as if her struggle was entertainment. She smiled tightly, swallowing the tears, because she had already learned one thing, that dignity is something you protect quietly. It wasn't just about carrying books, it was about carrying hope. Every letter she read seemed like a secret map, guiding her toward a place where life could be different. On weekends, she walked to the city library, miles away, just to sit among shelves of books she could never afford. She'd close her eyes, inhaling the scent of paper, imagining one day her name would be printed on the spine of a book. A faraway dream, yet one that burned like fire in her chest. The plastic bag became her symbol, not of shame, but of survival. She carried it through rainstorms when pages got damp, through summers when the handle cut into her skin, and through winters when her fingers turned numb. It was as if life was telling her, if you can protect these books, you can protect your future. And she believed it. Even when the world told her otherwise. By the time Amara reached high school, her world had grown heavier. Her father fell ill, unable to work long hours, and her mother's earnings could barely cover food. Education became a luxury, and there were days Amara thought she would have to drop out. Yet, her teachers noticed something: her essays were unlike anyone else's. While others wrote about routine, she wrote about dreams. While others scribbled facts, she painted emotions with words. One day, her English teacher, Mrs. Walker, stopped her after class. "Amara," she said, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder, "you don't just read stories, you live them. And one day, you will write stories that others will live through." Those words became a spark in Amara's chest, one that refused to die even when life tried to snuff it out. Amara began writing in old notebooks, filling every inch of paper with thoughts, poems, and half-finished stories. She wrote about hunger, about rain leaking through their roof, about children laughing at her plastic bag, about the warmth of her mother's tired hands. Writing became her way of surviving, a way of turning pain into something that could be carried. Not in a bag, but in a heart. Still, it wasn't easy. There were nights when her family went to bed hungry, and she stayed awake writing by the light of a single candle. Her brother would murmur, "Why don't you sleep?" and she would whisper back, "Because words keep me alive." At school, when others asked about her dream job, she answered, "Writer," only to hear giggles. To them, writing was not a profession, especially not for a girl like her. But rejection only fueled her fire. She began sending short stories to small magazines, carefully mailing them with coins she saved from skipping lunch. Most came back rejected. Some never replied. Yet, the silence didn't crush her, it trained her. She learned that every no was simply a step toward the one yes that would change everything. One evening, as she walked home in the rain, her plastic bag tore, spilling her books into the mud. She knelt down, crying quietly as she wiped each page with her sleeve. In that moment, she made a promise to herself: one day, I will not carry books in a bag, I will write them. And the world will carry my words instead. College seemed impossible, but scholarships became her lifeline. Amara earned one through her grades, and though the campus felt like another world with its polished hallways and students carrying laptops instead of plastic bags, she did not let intimidation break her. She worked part-time at a bookstore, stocking shelves by day and writing by night. Her co-workers often found her in a corner, scribbling furiously on scrap paper during lunch breaks. It was in that bookstore that she first saw her dream in flesh. A customer asked for a newly released novel, and when Amara handed it over, she whispered to herself, one day, this will be my book. She didn't know how or when, but she believed. Her first manuscript was written in secrecy, late nights, shaky hands, doubts louder than encouragement. She sent it to publishers, only to face rejection after rejection. Some didn't even open her mail. Others sent cold responses, not suitable for market. But she remembered the girl with the plastic bag, the one who had endured laughter, hunger, and storms. And she kept writing. After years of trying, a small independent publisher finally accepted her manuscript. The day she held her first printed book, tears blurred her vision. She touched her name on the cover again and again, as if it were too fragile to be real. It wasn't a bestseller, not yet. But it was hers. Then came the turning point. A reader posted about her book online, describing it as a story that feels like it was written from the soul of survival. The post went viral. Suddenly, Amara's words were everywhere: book clubs, libraries, even schools. What had once been her survival became the survival guide for others. The girl who once carried books in a plastic bag was now signing them at book fairs. And every signature carried a silent message: dreams don't die, they wait. Years later, Amara's name was no longer whispered, it was announced on billboards. Her novels topped bestseller lists, translated into multiple languages, embraced by readers across the globe. She traveled from city to city, standing in bookstores where she once shelved other authors' works, now greeted with lines of readers holding her books close to their hearts. Yet, she never forgot. She never forgot the mud-stained books, the laughter of children mocking her, the nights of hunger, or the bag that once carried her dreams. She kept that plastic bag folded neatly in a drawer, a reminder of where she came from. When journalists asked about her success, she never spoke of fame or money, she spoke of that bag. It wasn't just plastic, she would say. It was the container of my hope. If I could carry books in it, I could carry my future in it too. She started a foundation that donated books to children who couldn't afford them. She built libraries in rural areas, ensuring no child had to walk miles just to read. In every speech, she told her story, not to glorify her struggles, but to show that resilience can turn even the smallest spark into a fire that lights the world. Her bestsellers weren't just novels, they were testaments of survival, courage, and the belief that words can save lives. Readers found themselves in her pages: orphans, dreamers, the broken, the hopeful. And each one carried her story forward, proving that even the girl with the plastic bag could become the woman whose books shaped generations. On the night of her biggest award ceremony, standing in front of a roaring crowd, Amara held her trophy in one hand and her old plastic bag in the other. The audience gasped, and she smiled through tears. "This bag," she said softly, "was once my library. Today, my books are in libraries around the world." Never let anyone tell you what you can or cannot become. Because sometimes, the smallest beginnings carry the largest destinies. And in that moment, the girl who once walked with torn plastic bags walked instead on golden carpets, not weighed down by shame but lifted by words. Her journey was complete, Not because she had published bestsellers, but because she had proven that no dream is ever too fragile to carry out. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe for more inspiring journeys, and remember, no matter how small your beginnings, your story can become a bestseller too.